Hi guys, last week we were investigating part whole problems involving two or more parts. This week we're going to analyse and solve comparison problems that involve more than two parts, and we're going to need to take at least 2 steps in order to do that. So we might be interested in working out one of the parts, or maybe the difference between two of the parts, or we might even be interested in working out the whole amount. To begin with, let's get thinking. Here we've got Woody, Buzz and Jessie, and they've each got some money. Woody has got £58, Buzz has got £73 and Jessie has got £97. Now I'm not interested in you calculating the whole amount or the difference between any of those amounts. I'm going to tell you those. I'm interested in the questions that you can come up with based on that information. So you're really going to have to think about what you want to ask and the information that you would need to give in the question so that somebody else could solve it. So let's fill in the whole amount and the differences. They've got £228 altogether. The difference between Woody and Buzz's amounts is £15 and the difference between Buzz and Jessie is £24. So I could come up with questions where the answer might be one of the parts, it might be the difference between two of the parts, or it might be the whole amount. And I'm interested in how many different questions you can come up with about their money. I might want to use words like altogether, more than, less than, or fewer in order to help me. Let's do an example. Let's say I wanted to ask a question where I wanted to work out how much money Woody has. So that's the unknown in this example. What information might I give in order that that could be solved? I could give the difference between Woody and Buzz, the difference between Buzz and Jessie, and how much money Jessie's actually got. So my question might be, Jessie has £97, Buzz has £24 less than Jessie and £15 more than Woody. How much money does Woody have? In that question, I'm asking how much Woody has and I'm giving enough information in order that it can be solved. So I'd like you to pause the video for a few minutes and work with a partner to see what questions you can come up with based on that information. It's time to get investigating with a partner. I've got 2 problems I'd like you to have a go at together. Bo Peep bakes 48 more cookies than Duke Kaboom. Lotso bakes 28 fewer cookies than Duke Kaboom. Bo Peep bakes 123 cookies. How many cookies did they bake altogether? And question 2. Jessie, Woody and Buzz have £333 altogether. Buzz has £57 more than Jessie. Jessie has £36 more than Woody. How much money do they each have? Remember, I'm not overly interested in the answer here. What I'm interested in is how you go about working those out. What strategies are you using? So use bars to analyse, whatever resources you've got available to you in order to solve those, and draw pictures or number lines in order to explain your thinking. Pause the video, spend 8 to 10 minutes on those, and then share your thinking with the rest of the class. Let's discuss that first problem. Bo Peep bakes 48 more cookies than Duke Kaboom. Lotso bakes 28 fewer cookies than Duke Kaboom. Bo Peep bakes 123 cookies. How many cookies did they bake altogether? Let's look at the information we've got here. I don't know how many cookies Lotso or Duke baked, but I can put them in order. Bo Peep baked the most because we know she baked more than Duke, and Lotso baked the least because it tells us he baked fewer cookies than Duke. Let's draw bars for each of them. Bo Peep's got the longest bar and Lotso's got the shortest. We can describe each of those parts and the whole amount. So now let's put in the values we know. We know that Bo Peep bakes 123 cookies. We don't know how many Duke or Lotso bake. We don't know the whole amount, but what we do know is the difference between Duke and Bo Peep. She bakes 48 more, and the difference between Lotso and Duke. Lotso bakes 28 fewer. Let's work out how many Duke bakes to begin with. I can work this out from counting on from 48 to 123, from counting back from 123 to 48, or I can subtract 48 from 123. Let's go with subtracting this time. Let's start with 123, so I'm going to put out my resources and I'm going to mark that at the end of my number line, and we're going to take away 48. I can't do that in one go, so let's do that in steps. To begin with, let's take away those 23. And when I take away the 23, I'm left with 100. I've still got another 25 to take away, so I'm going to need to exchange that 100 for 10 tens. Now what I can do is take away 20. I'm going to take away 20, we've got 80 left. I've only taken away 43 so far. I've still got 5 more to take away, so again I'm going to need to exchange. I'm going to exchange one of those 10s for 10 ones. Now I can subtract that last 5 and we're left with 75. I've taken the full 48 away from the 123, so I can see that Duke has baked 75 cookies. Now that we've worked out how many Dukes baked, we can work out how many Lotso's baked. He baked 28 fewer than Duke. Again, we could count on from 28 to 75, we could count back from 75 to 28, or we can subtract 28 from 75. Let's go with subtracting again, so let's put out the 75 to begin with using the resources and on our number line. Now this time I'm going to do it slightly differently. I can't take 28 away in one go, so this time I'm going to take away too much. It's easy to take away 30 from 75. That takes me down to 45. But I've taken away too many, so we need to add those back on so we get up to 47. So I can see that Lotso has baked 47 cookies. Now that I know how many cookies they've each baked, all I need to do to work out the whole amount is add those 3 amounts together. So let's put out 123, 75 and 47. To begin with, I'm going to transform those numbers to make it easier. I can see that I've got a 3 and a 7 there and they make a 10. So I'm going to take those 3 from the 123 and add them to the 47. I've made a 10 and I've now got easier numbers to work with. I've got 120, 75 and 50. Let's add 50 to the 120. That takes me to 170 and I've still got that 75 to add on. Now, instead of doing that in one jump, I could take 30 of the 75. That takes me up to 200 and it leaves me with 45 left to count on. So I can add those remaining 45 to get 245 cookies altogether. Let's discuss that second problem. Jessie, Woody and Buzz have £333 altogether. Buzz has £57 more than Jessie. Jessie has £36 more than Woody. How much money do they each have? Let's look at the information we've got here. I don't know how much money any of them have, but again I can put them in the right order. Jessie has more than Woody and Buzz has more than Jessie. I can go about analysing this in different ways. I could start with any of them, but I'm going to start with Woody. So let's draw a bar to represent his money. I don't know how much money he's got, so let's put a question mark in there. Jessie has £36 more than Woody, so let's draw the same bar that Woody's got plus an extra £36. And we know that Buzz has £57 more than Jessie, so we can start by drawing exactly the same amount that Jessie's got. That's the unknown amount and the 36 plus an extra £57. Now we know that all 3 amounts come to 333 altogether, so we can put in that whole amount. Now that I've analysed this, I can see that what I need to work out is what's the value of each of those equal unknown parts. Now we already know who some of that money belongs to, so let's take that away from the whole amount. I can subtract each of those amounts from the 333 one at a time, but I'm going to work out how much that is altogether and then subtract that from the 333. So let's put out the 236s and the £57. And I'm going to start by adding the 10s together. So I've got 30 plus 30 plus 50, which comes to 110. And now that I've added those 10s, I can add the 1s together. You can do that in any way you want. I'm going to double the 6s to get 12, then add 7 to get 19. So 6 plus 6 plus 7 comes to £19. We can then add those two amounts together. We've got the £110 plus the £19, which comes to £129. So £129 of that £333 is already accounted for. Let's take that away from the 333. I'm going to take the 129 away from the 333, but you could also count on or count back. To start with, I'm going to take away 100, which takes me down to 233. Then I'm going to take away 20, which takes me to 213. And finally, I can take away the 9, which takes me down to £204. That £204 needs to be shared out equally between those 3 equal parts. I can't do that in one go, but I can see that I've got enough to put 60 in each box. Now you might choose a different amount to start with. You might start by putting 10s, you might start by putting 50s. I'm going to start with 60. So if I put 60 in each of those parts, that means I've shared out £180 of that £204. I've only got £24 left to share out. And I know that if I share £24 between the 3 parts, I can put £8 in each part. That's me shared out the full £204, so I can see that each of those unknown parts is actually worth £68. Now I know that Woody has got £68, Jessie has got that £68 plus an extra £36, which means she's got £104, and Buzz has that £104 plus an extra £57, which means that Buzz has £161 altogether. And I can double check that by making sure that those 3 amounts add up together to make the £333. It's time to discuss our success criteria. How did we achieve success? So pause the video for a few minutes, and with a partner I want you to discuss the steps that you would go through in order to solve similar problems. For both of these problems, the first thing that we did was order the parts correctly from largest to smallest, or vice versa. We knew that Bo Peep baked the most cookies, then Duke, then Lotso. Next, we can draw bars to represent each of those parts, and then we can describe those parts. After that, we can identify the differences and we can write in the values that we know. We knew that Bo Peep had 123 cookies. We knew that Duke had 48 less than Bo Peep, and we knew that Lotso had 28 less than Duke. And in this problem, we were trying to work out the whole amount. When you're analysing, you might mix steps 2 to 5 up a little. What's important is that you're doing it in a way that makes most sense to you. We analyse the problem because we can visibly see the relationship between the values, and this really helps us make decisions about the strategies that we want to use in order to solve it. It's time to try that out. Can you use that success criteria in order to analyse and solve each of the following 3 problems? As usual, we've got 3 different numbers within each of the problems, and it's up to you to decide which are the values that suit you best. Not too difficult and not too easy. So for question 1, if I want to use the yellow numbers, Rex, Ham and Zurg have £200 altogether. Rex has £90, Ham has £25 less than Rex. How much money does Zurg have? For question 2, I'm going to use the green numbers. Woody, Jessie and Buzz are working in the garden. Woody works for 123 minutes. Jessie works for 47 minutes less than Woody, but 38 minutes more than Buzz. What's the total amount of time spent working in the garden? And for question 3, I'm going to use the red numbers. Lotso, Duke and Bo Peep are playing a computer game. Altogether, they score 620 points. Lotso scores 73 points more than Duke. Duke scores 86 more points than Bo Peep. How many points did they each score? As ever, I'm not just interested in the answer. I want you to draw bars to help you analyse them, use different resources to help you solve them, and explain your thinking by drawing pictures or using number lines. So pause the video for 10 minutes or so, have a go at each of those, and if you manage those in the time, make up 3 problems for someone else to analyse and solve at your group. It's time to reflect on today's learning. So pause the video for a few minutes, and as a class or with a partner, I want you to consider each of the following questions. What have you learned today? What did you find easy or difficult? Did you get stuck? What helped you when something got tricky? What do you need more help with? What is really making you think? And what are your next steps? The last thing I'd like you to do today is, can you apply what we've learned? So as a class, I'd like you to discuss, analyse and solve the following problem. Jessie, Woody and Buzz are building a garden fence. Jessie builds 5.25 metres of fence more than Buzz. Buzz builds twice as much fence as Woody. Altogether, they build 24 metres of fence. How many metres of fence did they each build? Thanks for joining me again today. I hope you enjoyed that. The problems we're working on are getting trickier each week, so please don't worry if you found that tough going. If it's too difficult, take a step back. You might want to revisit a previous lesson, or you might want to reduce the values in each of the questions. The important thing here is that you're developing your ability to analyse problems, because that's really going to help you make sense of more difficult problems that you encounter. And it's going to ensure that you really understand maths rather than relying on memory, memorising number stories, memorising times tables facts, memorising processes. Next week, we're turning our attention to analysing and solving multiplication and division problems. I hope you can join me then.